Good morning, everyone. My name's Janet Beer. I'm the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Liverpool, and it's my pleasure to be here, albeit virtually, to welcome you to the University of Liverpool family. I know that the next few weeks will be full of mixed emotions as your loved one starts a new chapter in their life, and today's session is intended to make that process just a little easier by sharing a few details of the many ways in which we are here to support them to achieve their potential. As we're meeting on Zoom today, I need to start with a quick housekeeping message, just to say that this session will be recorded to be available for those unable to attend live. Joining me this morning are a number of my colleagues who are going to share information about university activities, and they'll also be very happy to answer any questions that you may have. Firstly, I would like to introduce Dr. Paul Redmond, the Director of Student Experience and Enhancement, and he's going to be speaking to you about our welcome activities and the exciting opportunities that his team have created in order to ensure a smooth transition into life at the university and in the city, with of course plenty of opportunities to make new friends. He'll be followed by Dr. Paula Harrison, Director of Student Administration and Support, who's going to share information about the services the university has available to ensure that all students have access to the support that they need to thrive during their time here. And finally, we're going to hear from Grace Piggott, a student careers coach, who will talk through her personal experiences as a student in Liverpool and some tips for how new students can get the most from their time here. After these talks, there'll be a Q&A to cover anything you'd particularly like to raise. So please do submit questions via the live chat facility during the panelists' presentations and indeed throughout the whole session. So just before I hand over to colleagues, I would like to start by saying that we are acutely aware that our new students, and indeed our continuing students, have had a difficult couple of years. In addition to the COVID-19 pandemic, which has touched all of our lives, creating previously unimaginable challenges, the disruption to learning and assessment has, I know, led to additional worry and anxiety at an already difficult time. We will work hard to make up to our students for all they've endured. But we also know that it won't be a quick fix, that this is, it's a long task to restore confidence and also just to make sure that students are really feeling at their best in order to achieve their most. So we want you to be assured that we've made it our absolute priority to provide all the ingredients necessary for a fulfilling, rewarding and exciting first year here at Liverpool. Colleagues have carefully rethought every aspect of our welcome, of the services we offer, and of the way we deliver our teaching, so that we can continue to provide a world-class educational experience, a range of fantastic co-curricular opportunities to try new things, to develop new skills and ignite new passions, and a supportive and respectful environment in which to live and study. We've also carefully thought through all the measures necessary to create a safe campus environment for all students and of course staff. And we encourage you to visit our welcome web pages for advice and guidance on making the most of starting at Liverpool. So I've said a little about your loved one's experience with us, but I'm very conscious that for many of you, this might be your first child or indeed family member to go to university. So we do hope that this parents and family network will offer you some of the support you need to ensure that you can feel part of the journey. In my own experience, both as once that first in family student being dropped off at university, but also as a mother taking both my children to university, you will be, I know, experiencing a mix of emotions. And it's a bizarre set of emotions: pride, obviously, and happiness and excitement, but also possibly desolation and some sadness at the change in everybody's life. So at Liverpool, we pride ourselves on a warm welcome, and we wanted to create a similarly supportive environment for parents and families through the Parent and Family Network. So this network will allow you to meet with other parents, as well as to learn more about and be involved with the university. And obviously the university will be your family member's home for the next 3 or more years. We recognise, of course, that our students are adults and that this is their experience, but we also recognise the role that you've played in getting them to university. And of course, we know that your interest and support in their education and ultimately their future success will continue. Liverpool will become a second home for our students, and I hope that you have the opportunity to visit and get to know the city too. It is a vibrant and creative place. Liverpool has lots to offer, and I know that our new students will receive a warm and friendly welcome from the city and enjoy many cultural and creative experiences during their time here. As part of our contribution to the city, our own Liverpool Literary Festival will run again from the 8th to the 10th of October. And there are a range of exciting speakers, including writer, actress, filmmaker, and stand-up comedian Andy Osho, biographer, literary critic, and academic Dame Hermione Lee, and medical alumnus and full-time GP and TV personality, Dr. Amir Khan, and of course our Chancellor, Colin Tabine, who'll be talking about his new book. You can visit the university website to view the full lineup and book tickets. And in the next academic year, our new purpose-built, state-of-the-art teaching and performance facility, the Yoko Ono Lennon Centre, will open. This centre, which was supported by generous donations from our alumni community, will offer audiences in Liverpool and beyond the opportunity to hear exceptional talent and fabulous composition several times a week. And hopefully you'll have the opportunity to experience the centre on a future visit to the city. Also, as a part of our network, you'll enjoy access to hotel discounts in Liverpool and information on upcoming events. So do watch out for regular newsletters from our development and alumni relations team. But back to today, I'd now like to hand over to Paul, our Director of Student Experience and Enhancement, to say a few words.
Thank you, Janet, and good morning, everyone. It's a great honour to be here, and I'm really looking forward to working with you in many respects as your sons and daughters come to university. I'm Director of Student Experience and Enhancement, so I'm responsible for overseeing our student-facing teams and support, and in particular in organising the welcome programme that we've got planned for this year's new students. It's an exciting programme that we put together, and I just wanted to give you an overview about what we're trying to achieve with this. Like Janet, I'm a parent whose daughter has recently graduated from university, so I know that for you, what will be really important is that your son or daughter settles in quickly, makes friends, finds their bearings as soon as possible, and is safe. And it's something that we've used those aims and objectives to really design our welcome programme. So, just briefly, our welcome programme will take place from the 20th of September onwards. We've got a whole week of events and activities and fairs. We're working closely with our student union, the Guild of Students. They've got an event on the Thursday and Friday, which will give students a chance to come and experience over 600 different clubs and societies at the university. We've got events planned for students to integrate themselves into the campus and also the city. This year, we've got 3 themes that we want to focus on for welcome. Your happy, healthy you. We want students to really focus on their well-being, how to eat well, how to live well, how to be active, how to make friends, and also to notice their environment. We want to encourage our students, not just to get familiar with the campus, but also look at the city region and to become familiar with this great city and the location in which the university is. So happy, healthy you is our first theme. Second is switched on. So we want to give students a chance as quickly as possible to become familiar with the learning resources at the university, our world-class libraries, the know-how support that we provide for students, bring them up to speed with their academic skills, the chance to meet with their academic tutors, and lots of opportunities for them to become familiar with how the university really does help them prepare for their academic studies. And then finally, good global citizen, or this year we're actually calling it good Liverpool citizen. We recognise that our students are ambassadors for the university, no matter where they are in the world, from Bootle to Bangalore, as we say, they are our ambassadors. So we're really focusing this year on equality, diversity and inclusion. So we've got a series of short programs that we want students to work through via our Canvas online platform, so that they can really become familiar with the aims and objectives and the values of the university. So there'll be lots of material that we'll be talking to students about this year. Sustainability is a key aspect of this, and we've got a number of sustainability challenges that we want our students to work through. And finally, we really take seriously at this university our student employability. We recognise that most of our students will have to stay not just employed, but employable for most of this century. Most of our new students will be working at least until the 2070s. So at Liverpool, we really are all focused on preparing them for the jobs of the later part of the 21st century. And that means looking at self-employment, developing work experience, gaining internships, and looking at the global job market, which of course has been turbocharged by the changes that have occurred over the last couple of years. So that's what we'll be working with them right from the start of their studies. We have got a very dynamic careers and employability service, and they'll be engaging them in their academic subjects to make sure that they start thinking about the future. And then lastly, again, one thing that we really want to make sure that our students are, while they come to university, are as safe as possible. So my colleagues in campus support will have lots of additional support available for students to make sure that they're safe, both on campus and in the city. You'll see people like me, if colleagues look out, if students look out for people like me wearing these badges, Ask Me badges. We'll have a lot of staff available on campus, particularly during the first week. If students have got any concerns or any questions, they need to look out for one of us and we'll help them. So we really do focus on making sure that students have the information, the guidance and the support available while they come to university. So as one parent to another, I do hope you find a great experience as your son or daughter comes to university. And if you have any questions, then make sure that you come and speak to us and we'll answer them. But apart from that, thank you again for having your son or daughter come to our university. We're delighted they're coming, we're privileged that they're coming, and we really want to work with them to make sure that they're as successful as possible over their program. So without further ado, let me pass over to my colleague, Paula Harrison, who heads up our student admissions and support team. So Paula, over to you.
Hello, and like Paul and Janet, it's really good to be able to get the opportunity to speak to you today. As Paul said, I'm Paula Harrison. I am the Director of Student Administration and Support, and we know that support is more important than ever this year. Young people in particular, alongside the rest of us, have missed out on important experiences. And we know that some young people will be more anxious about moving away to university. And so we have got a comprehensive mix of services, both at school level and centrally within the university, to provide support. And what I would ask you is if your family member is struggling, then please do encourage them to come and speak to somebody. Speak to their school office or contact one of our wellbeing advisors in student services as a first point of contact. We'll be offering a range of both remote and face-to-face services. We've found that some students have really appreciated remote services in the last year, even when they have been able to come into the building and see someone face-to-face. So we want to continue to provide that broad offer that allows people to access our services in a whole variety of ways. In addition to our wellbeing advisors who offer daily appointments that students can actually book on the day, so get a quick response, we also have a counselling service that offers both brief and longer term interventions, a mental health advisory service for those with more complex or long-term mental health difficulties, and we work very closely with our local NHS partners, and we're currently involved in the innovative delivery of a shared service to really make sure that we're ensuring students get access to the most appropriate support. We've got an enhanced programme of webinars, online events, as well as face-to-face support sessions for students who want to access that group style provision. We also have support for students who are through our disability advice and guidance service, Our support plans take into account the new hybrid learning environment and recognise the adjustments that may be needed for disabled students in that environment. We've also got our money advice and guidance team who can provide information about budgeting. We have access to a hardship fund and schemes to address digital poverty. And our international advice and guidance team can provide visa and practical advice for international students. And they will also be supporting our programme for those who need to quarantine when they enter the UK. So that brings me on to COVID. We know that you'll all be concerned about this, and we've been working really hard through our Campus Shield project to ensure that we've got appropriate measures in place to respond to any cases that we do get on campus. We have on-site PCR testing with results available with a very quick turnaround, and that support is supported by our internal track and trace system. Students moving into university halls of residence will be provided with home test kits as part of that move-in, and we'll have multiple collection points across campus. So we're part of the government scheme to deliver those home test kits, and will continue to be so as long as the government scheme is in operation. We're encouraging all students and staff to test twice a week as long as that programme continues, and to record their test results online. That will then link into their NHS app. So if you haven't done so already, please encourage a loved one to download the NHS app so that they've got access to all of that information. Also, we're really keen to encourage everybody to take up the vaccine. If your family member hasn't yet done so, then please do encourage them to take up any vaccination opportunities. We will also be providing vaccination clinics on campus during Welcome Week, but also on a fortnightly basis, again, supported by our NHS colleagues. For international students who may not have access to the vaccine, they will be able to access vaccines when they arrive in the UK, and our local GPs are also briefed on the variety of vaccines that are available internationally and how that links into the vaccines available within the UK. We've been working very closely with our public health colleagues, so we have outbreak management plans prepared, and we'll continue to work closely with them, and of course to follow government advice and ensure that that's communicated to students as effectively as possible. And then just in terms of your role as parents, this is a transition time for many of you. We know it's a difficult time as young people become adults legally, whilst also remaining your child. We work with our students as adults, but we recognise the importance of getting them to engage with family. So I've seen a question in the chat already around sharing information with parents. We don't ask people to sign up to that as part of our registration, but all of our services will ask that question as they engage with students, and we will share information on it when it's appropriate. And ideally we do that with the student's consent, but where we have concerns about any immediate risk, we would of course look at sharing that information. So I can assure you we have appropriate processes in place. I'd also say that where there isn't an immediate risk, we may not be able to share information with you, but if you have concerns that you think we should be aware of, please feel free to share those with our student services. We will follow up on those concerns. We've got a parents guide which is available on our website, and that gives you a lot more detail about our services, the types of support we offer, and some of the common issues that students experience. So we encourage you to have a look at that as well. And finally, I'd just like to say that university is always an exciting and challenging time. And sometimes challenge can be uncomfortable, and we've got support in place to enable students to rise to that challenge, to develop new skills and confidence, and to grow. And I think that's really exemplified by our next speaker, Grace Piggott, who's one of our alumni and a former career coach. And I'd like to now hand over to Grace.
Thank you, Paula. So hi everyone, my name's Grace and I'm a former law student at the university, and I was also a career coach alongside my university studies. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about my experience at the university, a little bit about the Career Studio and my role as a career coach, and also how students can access the support available at the university, how they can make the most of the time, things like that. So firstly, for my experience at Liverpool, so I came to the university in 2017, and it was my first time living away from home, as I know it will be for a lot of the students starting this year. I lived in student halls, which I found was really, really great. I found it really welcoming, I felt safe and I felt at home, which was brilliant. And Liverpool as a city has been an absolutely incredible place to live for the past 4 years. The city is full of hidden gems, the museums, the docks, the restaurants on Ball Street, everything. And if I was to recommend one thing to students, it really would be just to get out and explore the city, because I think this is really important for me personally, for finding a sense of belonging within the city, and for feeling that Liverpool has become a second home. So whilst at university, I also had a part-time role as a career coach within careers and employability. As a career coach, we help students in all aspects of careers, whether that's finding a part-time job when they first come to university, checking their CVs, helping them write a cover letter, finding what kind of graduate role they might like to do, helping them with interview prep, everything like that. And this role has really enabled me to see the range of opportunities that are available within Liverpool and wider across the UK. Again, the Career Studio is something that I'd really recommend students to take advantage of. It's been so helpful for me. It's been an absolute wonderful experience to work there, and seeing the impact that we have on students and seeing them progress from writing their CVs to getting their dream graduate role is brilliant. So it's definitely something that I'd recommend students take advantage of whilst they're at university. So as well as the careers and employability team, there are many other ways students can access support whilst they're at university. That's student welfare advice and guidance, the campus support team, the library. There are so many different ways students can be supported whilst they're at university. So if there's another thing that I'd recommend is that during Welcome Week, during students' first week at university, is that they approach some of these teams and just find out what their offer is, what they can do, what they can help them with, whether that's taking a library tour or dropping into the Career Studio, things like that. So finally, I'd just like to finish on the opportunities available within things like sports clubs and societies. So sports and societies are a really great way of making sure students really get the most out of university. So not only do they offer the chance to make friends and form a strong network of connections within the university, but they also offer so much more than that. So societies give students the chance to hold positions of responsibility, which helps them gain loads of great experience. So just using the legal society as an example, which is what I was part of whilst I was at university, I attended things like networking events and panels where I could ask questions to legal professionals and really get that key insight that I wouldn't have got anywhere else, which was absolutely brilliant experience for me. And it also helped me just gain a clearer idea of what I wanted to do after university. And not only that, it helped me make connections with other students and gain that other aspect of that support network at university. So we could attend events together, learn off each other and things like that. Societies are also brilliant for taking that extra time out of university, for gaining those other skills that you might not gain through your university degree. So it's an absolute brilliant opportunity, and it's definitely something that I think all students should really have a look into joining during Welcome Week. So overall, the University of Liverpool has really offered me an absolute incredible experience. I've always felt inspired, I've always felt supported. The opportunities that I've been offered have been absolutely wonderful. And the things I've achieved, I would just never have come to uni thinking that I could have achieved those. So my main tip would just be to have a go. So whether that's society, sports, work experience, the more things that students go for at university, the more that they achieve. And things that you don't think possible when you start university absolutely become possible over that 3 years or more that they're at university. So thank you for listening. I hope that was useful, getting that bit of insight.
Certainly gave me insight, Grace. Thank you very much indeed. There are questions coming in that my colleagues are answering as they go along, but just because there have been a couple on this topic, I'm just going to ask Paul Redmond to talk to you about what teaching is going to look like during the first semester, because it is complex, and obviously it is different for every single subject, but we think media reports have been a little bit misleading in terms of what the nature of what stays online and what is live actually will look like for our students. So Paul.
Yeah, thank you, Janet. Yes, I think the media have really painted a very negative view of our plans, of university's plans for the coming year. We're really aiming to give students a blended experience of the university. So we expect every student to have face-to-face experience of the campus, come in and to experience the whole experience of university life. But at the same time, we recognise that many of our students are anxious about coming into large environments where there'll be lots of students traditionally in large lectures. So we're certainly, for the start of the year, we're looking at a blended approach whereby we offer small group teaching experiences, but also we'll keep the best of our hybrid learning experiences online. So students will be really experiencing the best of both worlds. They'll have the hybrid experience online, but they'll also have experiences of coming in, meeting other students and being in the same rooms with their lecturers, their academics, their professors. So there'll be a blended approach, which we think, having taught to students, offers them the best way of learning and working. It's quite interesting when we talk to graduate recruiters now. This is how many organisations are going to be operating in the future in a hybrid way. So we value the face-to-face experience of students coming onto campus, but we also recognise that in some ways we can use these fantastic online platforms to be dynamic and to really give students new experiences that they wouldn't have previously had.
And just to emphasise one of the points that Paul has made, we haven't randomly decided to do this. This is in response to student feedback. They very much enjoy being able to watch a lecture when they want to watch it, to re-watch it, to watch parts of it that they may have had trouble grasping, or just want to go over again. It's very helpful for those of our students also who are learning in a second language to be able to take their time at it. And as with most things in the pandemic, and those of you who go to work or go into any other setting will realize that we're all facing the same set of questions. So I mean, somebody's put in the Q&A, if they can go to a nightclub, why can't they go to a lecture? It is a matter of personal choice going to a nightclub. And obviously, we'll have to wait and see what the government does as regards vaccine passports. But we ask our students to participate in learning. We are a face-to-face experiential university. If people want to study wholly online, Liverpool is not the place for them as regards the undergraduate experience and most of our postgraduate courses. We do have a separate set of programs that are wholly online. They're all postgraduate. And of course, people will sign up for those, if they don't want to disrupt their lives in any way and they want to study wholly online. But this is a campus university, and that is our priority. But it is also our priority to keep students safe and staff safe. So just in that first semester, we're just going to keep them at a distance from each other in the lecture theatre. For the first month, we are asking everybody to wear face masks, staff and students alike, when they're inside buildings on campus. And after 3 weeks, we will review that. But the determining factor for all our practice on campus is the advice we get from the local director of public health. So the university is working absolutely hand in glove with local public health, taking advice to make sure that all our students and our staff are as safe as they possibly can be when they're on the university campus, and to make sure that the students aren't affected in terms of their learning this year. We want to avoid disruption. Of course, all universities have been asked by the Department for Education to provide outbreak plans. We have to plan for the worst, but we are also planning for the best. And we really have worked hard on this to make sure that the environment is as safe as it possibly can be for everyone, but that it's also as good an experience, because we know we've got a lot to make up for. So Paul, can I just keep you in terms of on the safety front?
Sorry, Janet, it broke up a bit then.
Sorry, can I just ask if there's anything you'd like to add on the safety front?
Yes, I think in particular in safety, as you said, we want to make sure that students, when they come onto campus, feel safe. And I think, as Paula said, we recognise that students have different feelings about levels of confidence when they come onto campus, but all our buildings are COVID secure. And we're working very closely with the City Council to make sure that when they're in town as well, when they're in the wider confines, that this safety is carried on. So that there's lots of additional support that you'll see that our students can access when they arrive on campus. And perhaps what I didn't emphasize was the importance of downloading the app. We have an excellent app that students will be able to download from next week, which contains a whole range of information about safety on campus, but also the events and during welcome. So please encourage your students to download our welcome app. It'll be available from the 12th, and it has all this information that they can access and start thinking about safety, but also what they can be doing in welcome and arrivals.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul. And we've had a couple of questions as regards a parents' Facebook group. Caroline, can I ask you to respond to that? Have I still got, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Hi, Janet. Yes, that's not something I've thought of, to be honest, but I definitely do like that idea. We will respond to that. I mean, as parents, we do you know, I send you the our alumni newsletters and alumni magazine, and invite you to any events, and we'd love to meet you if you do come onto campus. But I will definitely be in touch about the Facebook group, so thank you for the suggestion.
Great. We always like new ways to connect with people. So Paula, are there any questions in the Q&A that you would like to respond to rather than writing to talk to us?
Yes, thank you. I was just typing a response to this one, so that's much easier to describe. As quick questions about the support for students who are required to self-isolate. And again, we fully understand that that's going to be a concern for many family members. So we've got a range of support in place. So for students in our halls, we've provided food boxes. So we have a well-established system for doing that now. So we're able to provide food boxes to individuals who need to self-isolate, and we can also support other practical requirements that those students might need. We have our residential advisors in halls will provide sort of check-in conversations with students if they want that, and we've got options for additional follow-up support. We can also provide additional support to students who are not living in university accommodation, and that information is all available via our student hub, and there's information up there around all of our COVID procedures. That's obviously the place we direct students to look for all COVID related information. And similarly, for those who are required to quarantine, if they're coming into our accommodation, we've got assistance with food and practical things as people arrive. And we'll also be providing a daily programme of support for students in quarantine, but online sessions, opportunities to meet others virtually.
Thank you, Paula. Paul, can I have you back? There's a question about a student at Greenbank having a face-to-face session right up against a virtual session. Perhaps you can talk about what's available on campus.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Janet. We're looking to provide spaces for students to actually attend online talks, so there's some breakout space that they can come and use while watching or while participating in an online lecture. So there will be places available for students, and we'll promote that to them as soon as they arrive, so they know where they can go. Then they can go to the live event. One thing that we are looking at this year, and it's something that we wanted to do, we've wanted to do for a number of years, but I think in a sense, the whole lockdown and the COVID transformation has really turbocharged this, but we are looking to provide more spaces for students to be able to work together in shared spaces. And this is something that we're quite excited about, because we find when students can work together from different disciplines, this is a great opportunity when people start setting up business ideas and developing new business idea proposals, and it's something that we want to use the campus more creatively for this year. So yes, there will be space for them to actually observe and participate in online resources and talks, but there'll also be space for them to actually meet other students from different disciplines. So if there are any problems again with that, let us know, and we'll be able to explain this and show students where these spaces are.
Yeah, it's also Paul, can I ask you to address the question that we often get asked in terms of how students can make the most of their time at university to make themselves employable? You've just touched on it there, and I know that Grace talked very eloquently about the importance of getting involved in societies and sporting teams, you know, because it's opportunities for teamwork and leadership that quite often make the difference to people when they're constructing their applications at the end of their course of study. Paul.
Yeah, thanks, Jenna. We are very keen to encourage students, as Grace is a great advocate of, to participate in the wider life of the university. So most of our students are only here for around 1,000 days. It's something that I tell students at the start of every year. They're here for about 1,000 days, and it goes really quickly. And so what the university offers is a superb opportunity to join clubs and societies, to volunteer. We offer opportunities for them to study overseas, to engage with organizations overseas. It really is a unique experience at university, but it goes quickly. So what I encourage all our students to do very early on in their first year is to come along to our careers studio, talk to our career coaches like Grace, talk to our staff, attend some of the events, and really, in a sense, explore the options that are available. We are one of the most targeted universities in the country by graduate recruiters from across the world. So come along to our employer events, come along to our networking sessions, shop around, think about what's available, but in particular, think about what sort of careers that they're interested in. And in a sense, the best way to do that is to join in with the university, come along to our career sessions, and to start talking to people and thinking about what the options are. I've been saying to our students this year, make sure you're not preparing for the wrong century. In other words, the 20th century jobs. Think about the jobs of the 21st century. And the expertise that we have at the university can give you a great head start. So join in, get stuck in, and start early.
Could I just add to that more generally in terms of joining in? I think it's really important to encourage people to try things. There's lots and lots of opportunities to get involved and meet people. We know how important it is to meet people and to feel a sense of connection. And our Guild of Students has a fantastic range of societies. There really is literally everything available, from a baking society to drama societies, debating societies, manga, just a huge range. And if there isn't something that your family member is really interested in, if it doesn't have a society already, the Guild can help them set one up if there's enough people who are also interested. So for some people, it might be a craft society or a book society and something that's a little quieter, and that's okay too. There's a whole range. So we really encourage people to take that first step. And if people are nervous about joining societies, again, the Guild is very supportive and can encourage that. So we do really encourage people to just be brave in those first few weeks and try and find something that fits for them.
Yeah. Paula, can I keep you for what support is available if my child faces financial difficulty during their studies?
Sure. So our money advice and guidance team are able to help students by helping provide some support with budgeting, but also we do have a hardship fund. So the criteria for that are published to students, and it's a very clear process and clear set of criteria, and there's an application process for that. So we're able to provide support through that fund to our students.
I think you've already mentioned this, Paula, but there are questions about COVID testing facilities on campus and whether it matters if students are in our halls or private accommodation. Okay,
thank you. Yeah, so we invested very early in a PCR testing facility on campus. So that is in addition to an NHS facility. So it means that students can book a test on campus and get the results back quickly. So we'll be keeping that facility. And we also have lateral flow testing on campus and collection points for lateral flow home test kits. So as long as those are being provided through national schemes, we'll continue to be distributing those. You don't have to be in university halls to get access to those. We are putting an initial box into university halls bedrooms, but any student arriving on campus will be able to collect a box of home testing kits. And again, that information will be available on the intranet as to where the collection points are. But we're working to get collection points in our library, in our Guild of Students, and as well as in our COVID testing centre.
Paula, there's also a question on disabled students' access to computing facilities.
Okay, I haven't seen the detail of the question, but there is there are a range of facilities across campus. We've got a lot of assistive technology available on our network. We can also support students with any applications for disabled students allowance. And we have got some dedicated spaces as well, which are suitable for students with particular access needs. So if you haven't already been in contact with our disability advice and guidance team, please do get in contact with them, and they'll be able to provide further information about that.
Thank you, Paula. And there's also a question about our tolerance for drug users, and what kind of steps we would take.
Yes, I mean, this is a really difficult area. We provide information to students around drug use. We're clear that we don't tolerate that as an institution. We also want to ensure we're providing appropriate support to students. But what we would encourage people to do is to come and talk to us. As if there is a problem with a flatmate, please come and talk to us. We will take action, we do intervene, and we have a range of options that we can offer, which might involve, you know, moving somebody, helping somebody who is using to engage with the appropriate services. It may also, if somebody is dealing, then we absolutely would not tolerate that within our accommodation. But what I would say is, with any issues, please encourage people to come forward early. We know that often our students, they're brilliant and they want to try and deal with things themselves, and we really applaud that. But in difficult situations, we do encourage them to come and talk to us early on, so that the pressure doesn't build up.
Thank you, Paula. There's one live question which one of my colleagues is typing an answer to, but if we can just perhaps close by Paul, Paula, any other colleague who wants to contribute. What would you recommend for students to do in their first weeks to ensure they make friends and settle into Liverpool? You know, it's the question at the top of all our minds.
Open your door. Open the door in your room. Go into the kitchen. Talk to the people in your flat. They may not be your lifelong friends. For many students, they are, but they may not be. But open your door, create opportunities to connect with people, and then go out and find people who share your interests. As I said, the Guild Society is a great way of doing that. And you know, approach people. We know that students are often sat in lecture thinking those first few weeks going, everybody else seems to know people and I don't. Actually, most people are sat there feeling just a little bit worried and uncomfortable. So it's about being brave, taking that first step. Food's always a good option as well. If parents and supporters are thinking about things, box of biscuits for the kitchen, just something that brings people together is a really good way of just starting those conversations.
Thank you, Paula. And Grace, I should have started with you. You're the expert, not us, shall I say, those of us who had our education perhaps in the last century. Grace.
Yeah, I think I really agree with what Paul has just said. I think it's just taking those first steps. I can just remember how daunting it was in my university room and just being scared just to go downstairs and into the kitchen and speak to people. But I think once you get over that first initial shock of having to do something out of your comfort zone, it all just becomes so comfortable. If you just like make those first steps to just say hi to someone as you're walking past their room, or knock on someone's door, or go into the kitchen when you can hear people talking downstairs, it just helps so much. And you know, once you've done it once, it becomes so much more easy the next couple of times. And then, like I mentioned earlier, joining societies, joining sports clubs. So, you know, you don't always have everyone in your accommodation that you get along with. So having those other aspects to make friends, to make connections, to form those support networks elsewhere is so important. And it's what I would really recommend to students joining.
Thank you, Grace. Paul?
Thanks, Janet. I would just recommend again to emphasise our app. Make sure the student downloads the app. It's got a Netflix type function whereby you can actually put in your own preferences. So you'll be meeting people who've got the same interests as you, and show up to things. I think that's the main thing. It's a unique time in our experiences when everyone is in the same boat. Everyone is looking to make friends with people. So it's actually a lot easier than most students expect it to be. So turn up to things, download the app, and make sure that you get involved, as my colleague said.
Thank you so much, Paul. And Grace, thank you, and Paula, and all my colleagues who've been beavering away behind the scenes, answering the questions live. I'm now going to draw the event to a close. Thank you so much for joining us today and for all your questions. And yeah, also thank you for the nice things you've been putting in the chat, very much appreciated. So let me, on behalf of all my colleagues, wish you well and assure you that we are really looking forward to welcoming students safely onto our campus very soon. Thank you.